press conference. I'm delighted to be back at Deutsche Telekom after nearly 3 years in Canada. And I would like to start off by taking a look at the 2017 financial year. It was a year of positive trends for Telekom Deutschland. The year-on-year increase in earnings of 2.8% in the Germany segment is particularly encouraging. We navigated to a course of growth in 2017. This is particularly evident if we look at the trend in the fourth quarter of 2017. Adjusted EBITDA rose by 4.7% in this quarter. Service revenues continued to develop positively over the course of the year. After starting the first quarter with a year-on-year deficit of 0.7%, we reported growth of 0.9% in the last 3 months of 2017. The positive trend in mobile business from minus 0.8% in the first quarter to 1.7% in the last quarter was particularly marked. This underscored our leading position in the market. We added 181,000 new branded mobile customers in the fourth quarter, and nearly 11 million customers now have LTA components in their contracts. That's 19% more than in the prior year. Data consumption among postpaid consumers increased by 38% year-on-year and now totals more than 1.6 gigabytes a month on average. So not only is network coverage in Germany of 94% working in our favor, but we have now also connected substantially more than 80% of mobile sites with optical fiber. Demand for our fiber optic lines in the fixed network remained at a sustained high level. We activated 2.8 million fiber optic lines in 2017. As of the year end, we operated 9.6 million fiber optic lines and expect to pass the 10 million mark very soon. We added 104,000 new broadband customers in the fourth quarter of the year just ended. Over the full year, the number of broadband customers climbed by around 290,000 in line with our forecast. The focus of our integrated network strategy is, of course, to get the edge over our customers using bundled services. Over the last year, we added a total of 600,000 Magenta 1 customers in Germany. That's an increase of 20%. Revenues in wholesale business increased by 2.6% in the fourth quarter. Regarding the debate surrounding broadband build-out, it is important to remember that we made some 3.8 million fiber optic lines available to our competitors as of year-end 2017. For 2018, we expect to continue the positive results trend. Adjusted EBITDA is set to increase to around 8.6 billion euros compared with 8.5 billion euros in 2017. But, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the successes of today rest on the shoulders of yesterday's efforts. So let's dive straight in, because one area is particularly close to our hearts, the broadband build-out in Germany. Having spent the last few years in Canada, away from the broadband debate currently raging in Germany, I perhaps have a somewhat more rational view and detached view of the discussions in Germany right now. I was surprised at the level of vehemence and in some cases extremely dogmatic stances taken by many in the build-out debate here. It's a discussion in which many protagonists insist on using, to put it mildly, half-truths. It often feels like the technology itself is seen as more important than the desired result, which is to bring high-speed internet to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible, a goal that Deutsche Telekom has always stood for. Our focus is on building out optical fiber infrastructure rapidly to get fast internet to as many people and businesses as possible and deliver the necessary bandwidths. Only then will the focus turn to achieving gigabit speeds. Together with policymakers, we agreed to utilize a mix of technologies that would allow us to meet this goal, an approach that I expressly stand by today. This is the only way that we can deliver on our voluntary commitment, a commitment to offer speeds of at least 50 megabits to 80% of households by the end of next year. We are confident that we will meet this target. Not only has Deutsche Telekom always been committed to building out the optical fiber network, it has consistently put its words into actions. We have made incredible progress with installing and expanding the infrastructure so far. Deutsche Telekom network now includes some 55,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable lines. In recent years, we have on average laid 30,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable per year. In 2017, we already upped this to 40,000 kilometers. In 2018, we will accelerate our efforts considerably and plan to lay a good 60,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables by the year end. But laying cables is not enough. We are also upgrading our hardware and set up 25,000 street cabinets in 2017. This is essential if we are to bring fast internet to households. It requires very high levels of investment. Group-wide, Deutsche Telekom invested 5.4 billion euros in Germany last year. That was used in many areas, including the fixed network build-out, the mobile communications network, and our data center in Bira. No other company invests anywhere like this level of capital to expand the broadband service in Germany, and we already build it out exclusively using optical fiber. We also plan to up the stakes in 2018. 5.7 billion euros are earmarked for group investments in Germany. It is down to this huge level of investment and mammoth build-out efforts that some 71% of all households in Germany, let me say that again, some 71% of households were already connected to the fiber optic network in Germany by the end of 2017. That's over 30 million households in total. By the end of 2018, we want to connect some 80% of all households. That's around 33 million households to the fiber optic network. Let me say a few words about our short-term priorities for the build-out. First of all, to date, we have rolled out bandwidths of up to 100 megabits to some 19 million households, and the build-out continues. By the end of 2018, some 26 million households will have access to these kinds of speed. Secondly, of course, we know the world keeps turning, and the demand for broadband is on the rise, and we will start utilizing supervectoring in this summer as promised. The plan is to make speeds of at least 100 megabits per second and peak speeds of up to 250 megabits per second available to around 15 million households already by the end of this year. The accelerated build-out pace and a huge leap in speeds means that we expect starting speeds to rise over time from 16 megabits per second to 50 megabits per second. Although the topic of gigabit speeds is attracting a lot of attention right now, we don't expect to see demand among consumers for these kinds of bandwidths in the near future. Take Canada, for example. Gigabit speeds are available in quite a few locations, but customers mainly purchase bandwidths of between 30 and 150 megabits per second. At the moment, it is primarily business customers which need gigabit speeds. A key element of our build-out strategy is thus our commitment to the business customer segment, in particular business parks. Assuming the demand is there, in 2018 we will be installing FTTH to directly link up some 100 business parks. In the coming years, we want to cover some 3,000 business parks with our build-out initiative. That equates to around 80% of business locations within the parks, with around 400,000 businesses and millions of workers. Ladies and gentlemen, similar to my predecessors, one other point is of particular importance to me, and that is rural areas. Let me give you a few facts that often get lost in the sometimes emotional debate. One example, in 2017, Deutsche Telekom installed optical fiber in over 1,000 or more than 1 in 2 communities in Bavaria, with the result that now 2/3 of households in rural parts of Bavaria have access to high-speed internet with at least 30 megabits per second. By the end of 2018, we want to connect over 80% of communities in Bavaria to the fiber optic network. Things are taking shape in other federal states too. In the Western Pomeranian Rügen district of Mecklenburg, Western Pomerania, we are currently working to build out to around 40,000 households as part of our biggest funding project to date. We are bringing fiber optic lines right into people's homes. Our goal is to bring high-speed internet to as many customers as possible, and this includes our rural customers. That's why we've taken part in more than 1,000 funding programs and have brought high-speed internet to over 500,000 households in the past year alone. And we plan to get actively involved in as many funding programs as possible, both in this and the coming years, to provide broadband coverage nationwide. We also continue to put a focus on building out our LTE network. We are increasing the investments of Deutsche Funkturm by around 100 million euros in the current year. This will allow us to significantly increase build-out work to mobile sites from around 500 per year on average in recent years to some 2,000 a year in the medium term. The improved LTE coverage will reach 98% of the population by the end of 2019. In parallel, we will methodically work to localize and eliminate coverage white spots on the freeways and highways and significantly improve coverage among rail routes and in rural areas. But it doesn't stop at LTE. 5G is just around the corner in the truest sense. 5G will really revolutionize the way we support and promote our business customers. Overall, 5G offers around 1,000 times the capacity, 100 times the connection density, 10 times the speed, a 10 times lower latency period, and 1.5 times higher mobility. And these are just our own efforts. They don't show the full picture. We are committed to cooperation models. No company is capable of building out Germany's networks on its own, and I've had experience in my own career with that. We've already signed cooperation agreements with Net Cologne, Innogy, and EWE. As to the precise nature of the partnership, we are generally open. Right now, we are in talks with around 70 more companies with a view to getting ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, let me sum up our plans for actively shaping the broadband build-out. We promise you today that we will continue to invest upwards of 5 billion euros each year in German infrastructure over the coming years. That's over 20 billion euros in the next 4 years. Our technology mix will shift increasingly towards FTTH, which means from the street to the building, and make gigabit bandwidths available step by step. It goes without saying that we will not only make bandwidths of this size available in urban areas, but also in rural areas. We will provide more details of our activities here at the Capital Markets Day in May. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we still have a lot to do. Deutsche Telekom is building the gigabit network for Germany, and it is doing so every day. On that note, I will now hand over to Thomas Dannenfeld.